Hello and welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. Both our TV channels, Civic Center TV and Birmingham Area Municipal Access in Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and the Village of Franklin, are on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. We're also on the radio, of course, 89.3 Lakes FM, also in the Birmingham Bloomfield area on 88.1 WBFH, the BIF, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Also on the web, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link at the very top of the page or on the sidebar on the left side on your mobile phone, or visit us on our Facebook pages today, facebook.com/civiccentertv and facebook.com/lakesfm. And as always, joining me from her home studio in the city of Keagle Harbor is Ronnie Dahl.
Tyler, I hope you got to get outdoors yesterday. It was gorgeous.
Not for very long. I took a couple of quick walks outside the building, around the building, just to soak in a little bit of the sun yesterday and get some of that warmth. But not much outdoor time yesterday, Ronnie. But plenty of time for that this weekend.
So I guess we could say spring is here to stay.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. By this time usually we've had we're going back just a little bit. Now we're coming forward, a little bit of a tease of summer, and then back to regular temperate spring temperatures here in Michigan. But this year Mother Nature's been throwing us curveballs left and right. They've actually landed in the strike zone, unlike they do for the Detroit Tigers. So it's who knows.
Yeah, of course, Tuesday when I went to the Tigers, it was cold that day.
Of course.
And then the weather gets beautiful the days that I'm not there. But so Tyler, I have to ask you, well, you're an apartment complex though, right? So you don't have to worry about mowing the lawn?
I do not. No, I am in an apartment complex, so I don't have to worry about that.
So we're one of the few people in our community, we haven't mowed yet.
Oh, no.
And I did edge the other day, but it's always kind of a debate, like that first mow, because do we put more grass seed down? Do you not put more grass seed down? And we used to have a neighbor who had like a side hustle where he would go around and treat your lawn a couple times a year. And our grass grew so much better. We didn't have the weeds that we have now, but he stopped doing it. So at this time of the year, it's always like, okay, should we try something? What do we do? And in the meantime, our grass just looks horrible. We are the ugly neighbor right now.
Oh, no. What my dad does, because I'm over there and I help him in his yard here and there on the weekends when it's needed. And what he does with his lawn at the beginning of the season, he'll usually won't start regularly mowing it until about this time when the weather's consistent and it's not going to be cold to the point where the grass isn't going to grow much. But what he'll do is he'll do a quick just once over, cut it really short on one of the first few days that's consistently warm, just so that as all the leaves and stuff come out of the brush, the wind pushes them right out of the yard. So that kind of clears the yard out. And then from there we'll just maybe once a week or so mow the lawn, or if it's a couple of weeks, mow it nice and short once again, so things are kind of brushing off of it. But yeah, I don't have to deal with that, so I don't really think about mowing lawns or dealing with lawn care all too much out of my apartment.
And of course, so many people are still working from home, and so it gets a little awkward. Like, what time is a good time to mow? Because it used to be daytime. Sure. A lot of people weren't in their homes, but now with so many people working remotely, because you can hear a lawnmower outside your window.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I was growing up, my mom used to work from home, and every now and then I'd come home and she'd be like, "Yeah, I had a work call today," and it was in the middle of this, this important conference call that I was on, and our neighbors started mowing their lawn, and it was just so loud. It was almost like they were just mowing one side of their home that just happened to be on the same side that I was working on. It's terrible. Why can't they mow at night? Now I think it's even more confusing now, because do you mow during the day like you would in normal times, but maybe you're messing with somebody's at-home work, or do you mow at night when everyone's like, "Oh, I'm tired. I've been working from home all day. We're in the middle of this pandemic. Everyone's running around wildly busy and all of that, trying to manage their life during a pandemic. Maybe they're trying to get some rest, and now I'm interrupting them." So nobody knows. It all depends on your neighbors. You got to kind of know your neighbor's schedule, which you can't really do because you're not going over there and just knocking on the door and being like, "Hey, what's your schedule?" Because that's weird.
It would be weird unless you knew your neighbors
know them pretty well. Yeah, know them pretty well.
So, of course, the big news yesterday, the CDC announcing now that fully vaccinated people can largely ditch their mask indoors. So, in a major step toward returning to pre-pandemic life, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention eased mask wearing guidance for fully vaccinated people, allowing them to stop wearing masks outdoors in crowds and in most indoor settings. The new guidance still calls, though, for wearing masks in crowded indoor settings like buses, planes, hospitals, prisons, and homeless shelters, but it will help clear the way for reopening workplaces, schools, and other venues, even removing the need for social distancing for those who are fully vaccinated. So the country's aggressive vaccination campaign has paid off. U.S. virus cases are at their lowest rate since September. Deaths are at their lowest point since last April. And the test positivity rate is at the lowest point since the pandemic began. The new guidance is likely to open the door to confusion, though, since there is no surefire way for businesses or others to distinguish between those who are fully vaccinated and those who are not. And people who are not fully vaccinated should continue to wear their mask indoors, according to the CDC. And then, of course, here in the state of Michigan, our mask policy is still in place. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is reviewing its policy after the CDC guidance. But the way that Back to Normal program works, Tyler, was I think some of those mask restrictions weren't going to be lifted until we reach that 70% milestone. And right now we're only at 55%.
Yeah, and that's what kind of gets lost here if you don't read beyond the headline or don't listen to what was said by CDC Director Dr. Walensky, just beyond the lifting of the partial lifting of the CDC's mask order, is that it is going to continue, that these mask orders at the federal level are being relaxed by the CDC, but that's not necessarily the case at the state level, at the local level, or in individual businesses and other places that you may be venturing that may have their own policies. You still need to follow those. And the biggest thing here, as it says in this article here on a webpage on civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, is really no good way to know for sure if somebody is vaccinated. You can't exactly go up to them and say, hey, you have to prove to me that you're vaccinated. They have their HIPAA rights and they don't need to disclose their own medical information. So there's really not a good way to know. It's really just an honor system thing, which then leads some to ask, well, if we're all just going to do this on the honor system, what's stopping somebody from straight up lying about their vaccination status regarding COVID-19? And at that point, why not just lift the mask order altogether? But then you have a question on that. If you lift the mask order altogether at that point, how are you preventing the spread of COVID-19? We're still not at the herd immunity point, which leaves the question of, is this lifting of the mask order from the CDC coming prematurely at the federal level?
And you wonder, too, their reasoning behind this. Is this a way to try to get more people to get vaccinated? It's kind of like,
I don't think
an incentive. Hey, if you get vaccinated, this is how you can live. But again, at the end of the day, there's no requirement in place for people to show a vaccination card.
And that to me is why I look at that and I say I don't see this as an incentive for those that maybe are vaccine hesitant or have delayed getting their vaccination to actually go and get vaccinated so that they can prove that they have been vaccinated and don't need to wear the masks in certain settings, because there's no surefire way for these organizations, for these businesses to make sure that they are getting proof from people that they are fully vaccinated and don't need to be wearing their masks. So how is that going to incentivize people to go get vaccinated if they can just say, okay, well, everyone's on the honor system, they're not going to know any wiser, I'm just going to tell them I'm vaccinated? I don't think that does that at all.
But so confusing. And again, I think so many of the businesses are going to be caught in the middle here, because again, just like in the beginning when they were, it was back and forth on should you wear a mask, don't wear a mask, but then masks were mandated, but people were not wanting to wear a mask in the beginning. And now for this to come out, it just puts so many people, so many businesses and workers as well, especially in public places, in kind of a hard spot.
Yeah, it does. And on top of that, if you do have small outbreaks or moderate size outbreaks, large outbreaks at these individual businesses, those businesses are going to be put under a microscope in that situation. Well, what could you have done differently to prevent the spread of COVID-19? Were you following regulations and suggestions from your local health department, from your state health department, from federal resources to prevent the spread of COVID-19? And for all you know, in that situation, those businesses are continuing to do everything that they need to do within the rules and within the suggestions to prevent the spread, but people are just not being honest about whether or not they're vaccinated against COVID-19. So if you have these outbreaks, which, at this point are less likely to happen than a few months back, these businesses are still going to be scrutinized for those outbreaks happening there or for these cases popping up at their business, and really have no way of knowing how they could have prevented it because of confusing orders like this from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Well, one of the things that's not helping this argument as well, Tyler, I don't know if you saw the news where the Yankees have had an outbreak. I believe 8 people connected to the New York Yankees, people that are fully vaccinated, have now tested positive for COVID-19.
And that's another thing is that you just because you are fully vaccinated, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be spreading COVID-19 to those that aren't vaccinated against the virus. That's one of the main reasons why earlier on, even they were setting the CDC before this order was made yesterday, lifting some of these mask orders and mask restrictions, was to prevent the spread of COVID-19 to people that are not vaccinated until we get to that herd immunity point. So again, more confusion, and there's going to be a lot more of these questions that pop up and these situations that pop up that are kind of moral, medical, and public health quandaries for people that really in most cases are not public health experts, like individual businesses and organizations.
Well, and the good thing there, though, they did say most of those that did get COVID-19, the ball players and the workers, they did not have any symptoms. In fact, they said they probably wouldn't even known that they had COVID had they not been getting the tests that were mandated by the Major League Baseball. So, hey, gift cards are going to be offered to Detroit area hospitality retail workers getting vaccinated at Clark Park today. So the first 400 Detroit area hospitality and retail workers getting vaccinated at Clark Park are going to be getting a $25 Visa gift card as part of the new statewide Shots in Arms incentive campaign. Vaccination clinic is going to be open from 2 until 7 today. And that, of course, is at 1130 Clark Street in Detroit. So walk-ins are welcome. No appointment is necessary. Transportation, Spanish language interpreters, and wheelchair accessible accommodations are going to be made available. You do not have to have proof of insurance. They will be administering the Johnson & Johnson as well as the Pfizer vaccine, and that's going to be through the City of Detroit Health Department there in Detroit. Now, the campaign was announced in partnership with Protect Michigan Commission, the Small Business Association of Michigan, and the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. Officials said Friday's event is the first in a series of vaccination clinics hosted by the organizations across the state. There are some that will be coming up here, I believe, in Birmingham and Ferndale as well.
Yeah, and I think this is already becoming more the norm. I think it's just going to continue to be that as we go forward in this vaccination process, as people are less eager to go out and get their vaccinations as there were when vaccine was relatively scarce and you had to be scheduled for it, is to try to incentivize people to come out. So providing gift cards to people to come to this vaccination site, go through the vaccination process, get shots in arms, and then get some sort of a prize or a gift or a reward for doing that community service. I think that's just the norm at this point. I mean, we talked yesterday for a little while about the governor of Ohio and the $1 million giveaway for those that are going and getting vaccinated through their lottery system. And I think that incentivizing people to get out there is how we're going to end up seeing a lot of these states, a lot of these local health departments and individual vaccination sites attempt to move the needle forward, no pun intended, on getting people vaccinated and trying to get us to that 70% threshold.
Hey, the GOP-led legislator okays bills banning mask mandates for kids and limiting Whitmer's powers. So during Thursday's sessions in the House and the Senate, Republicans moved the remaining bills for the fiscal year 2022 budget, while also passing bills prohibiting mask mandates for kids, banning vaccine passports, and limiting the powers of the state administrative board. Now, this week, both GOP-led chambers have been working to pass their own budget plans for the next fiscal year. They have not been able to get bipartisanship support on a lot of the bills, though. Now, we do know that the governor announced a state budget recommendation this past February, but she and the GOP leaders have yet to strike a deal. Now, we do know one of the polarizing bills taken up was the Department of Health and Human Services budget, Senate Bill 79, which included an amendment offered by Senator Tom Barrett, who is a Republican, prohibiting the use of funds from being used to develop, create, implement, or enforce vaccine passports or any other similar document. Now, we do know the governor has not proposed vaccine passports here in Michigan, but GOP leaders are taking extra steps to try to make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, and this just, to me, on the surface, looks like a giant waste of time because as you've seen, as has mentioned in this article, there has not been discussion of a plan for a vaccine passport system. And really at this point, it doesn't appear that there's going to be one. That doesn't seem to be something that has been explored as a viable option or an option that would be supported by politicians on either side of the aisle. And pushing these bills through, they're going to go to the governor's desk. She's going to veto them. So all you're really doing is making a statement for the sake of making a statement. Instead of trying to pass laws through, just make those statements publicly in a press release or in a press conference or at some sort of a rally. There are more productive ways to do this than to be wasting the time of public leaders when you could be working on other issues that are frankly more important, like as is mentioned in this article, the state's budget.
So with that, you can always find the latest headlines. Just go to civiccentertv.com, click on coronavirus, and then also at the top of the page, we have direct links to some valuable resources, including the CDC. If you want to read their new guidance for yourself in its entirety, you can do so. Or if you want to check out the state of Michigan, also Oakland County. If you go to their news section, you'll find the latest that's going on here in Oakland County as well. We're going to take a quick break here on this Friday. And when we come back, we have a great show ahead for you on this Friday. Really a fun show this week, Tyler, to end out the week.
Yeah, fun show. A lot of interesting guests coming up. A lot of really cool things going on around us here in Oakland County and in the state of Michigan.
And right after the break, we'll be speaking with one of the regional leaders for Lasagna Love. And you're going to love this feel-good story. That's next here on the Megacast.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful. Because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, Oakland County. The Oakland County Megacast will return after these brief messages. But before we get back to public service announcements, I just want to give an announcement of some programming coming up here on Civic Center TV next week, Wednesday, May 19th at 7 o'clock p.m. We will be celebrating some of those who have been dedicating their time and their energy, their work, and putting their lives on the line for us in our community at the 49th Annual Michigan Week Virtual Community Awards celebration. That is live, 7 o'clock next week, Wednesday, right here on Civic Center TV and on our Facebook page, Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook. The Megacast returns shortly.
COVID-19 has caused many families to fall behind on finances and on groceries. But you're not alone. You shouldn't have to worry about putting food on the table. My Bridges offers access to quality food and income assistance to help families across the state get the food support they need. It's easy to apply and easy to start shopping. Apply for services at michigan.gov/MIBridges. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you for taking time out of your Friday to be with us here on the Megacast. One woman started one simple good deed way back at the beginning of the pandemic, but that good deed has now spread all across the country, and it involves a favorite food for so many people, lasagna. Joining us now to tell us a little bit more about Lasagna Love, Jolie Abreu joins us. She's the regional leader for Lasagna Love. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
I love this story. Tell us more about it and how it started and how it works as well.
Sure. So it was started, like you mentioned at the beginning, by a mom in California at the beginning of the pandemic in the late spring, April, May, and into June. Really saw a big need in her area. She was in the San Diego area and loves to cook, has kids that love to cook with her, and just put a post out on Facebook. Does anybody need any help right now? I love to make lasagnas. It's my go-to meal. If you'd like a hot lasagna delivered to your door, let me know and I'll do it. And just the response was incredible. And then several people said, you know what? I'd like to make lasagna. Can I help? Can I make a lasagna? And it just went from 5 to 30 to blah, 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 to here we are.
It really is amazing. One simple good deed. And I think, it's not just people experiencing food insecurity, but you think about too, the stressed workers, that are on the front lines or just unable to really try to take that break because they're trying to handle a job, but also teach their kids. And so it can be so stressful. And even if it's just that one meal that you don't have to cook can really give a family a break.
That's really it. I mean, just, at the end of a long day, regardless of the circumstances you're in, whether there's a food disparity or you're just, you have Zoom school and, working parents or whatever. And just at the end of the day, to have a home cooked meal that you didn't have to cook can also bring some joy to your life.
So with that, Jolie, how did you get involved?
So I got involved back in December of last year. I saw a Facebook video from somebody I follow on Facebook, and I was like, this sounds really neat. This is something right up my alley. I love to cook. I love to give back to the community. I'm a realtor in my day life, so I see a lot of stuff going on in the community. And, I just love to give back. The company that I'm with is all about giving back. And just, I'm on the board of directors of a couple of nonprofits, and I just love the idea of it. And so I volunteered. I signed up as a volunteer to make a lasagna, and they didn't have a regional leader at that point in the Detroit area. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And here I am 6 months later, I think, or something, 5 months later. So yeah.
So how does it actually work? Because we do know that some people may be uneasy having strangers drop off food to them.
Yeah. So when a person goes to request, like I mentioned, a lot of times there was a food disparity or, something along those lines, but there really are no questions asked. They go to the website, sign up to request a meal. Obviously there's a waiver to sign, and then they put in either their story or a little bit, just about what they're looking for, why they need the lasagna. and share away. And then the volunteers are assigned to families based on a radius that they choose, and a quantity of families they're willing to help that week. And so once they're matched, they make contact with the family directly and set up a delivery day and time. We offer contactless delivery where we'll just leave it on a porch, or something like that, just to keep it safe for everybody. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. It's pretty easy.
So we know all cooks are not created equal. Some people kind of struggle in some areas more so than others. So what advice do you give to people who are thinking about volunteering?
Well, again, I mean, we try to be a no judgment zone across the board. There are a lot of recipes that we share. Our founder, Rhiannon's recipe is right on our portal, on our volunteer portal website. But then there's lots of recipes people share, lots of recipes for starters. Just about everybody has some sort of passion for it, but we do have some brand new cooks who've never made a lasagna in their life. And that first delivery is a little nerve-wracking every time, but they get through it. And how hard is it to mess up sauce, pasta, and cheese? Even if it's a mess, it's still good.
We're talking with Jolie Abreu with us here on the Megacast. She's a regional leader for Lasagna Love. And but with that too, we know some people are maybe sensitive to certain items. So can you kind of custom make it for an individual or for a family?
Yes, we do. We do ask allergy. We do recommend no severe allergies because we aren't, cooking in commercial kitchens with those kind of, resources. But as long as it's just maybe a gluten intolerance or a dairy intolerance, something along those lines, or mushrooms, or, just basic things that we cannot include, then that's fine. And that's been a big creative learning curve for a lot of our lasagna chefs, they're used to making lasagna a certain way. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, what's the best gluten-free pasta? And what's this? And what's a dairy-free cheese? And so we have a robust group on Facebook, and we, share away. So it's really accommodating.
So, as we kind of continue on this pandemic roller coaster ride, how strong is this effort still going?
It's actually still going very strong. I think there has been a little bit of a pivot over the past, couple weeks, month, we'll see how it goes over the next, but the general concept behind Lasagna Love is really about spreading kindness. And we all were asked several months ago to sign a kindness pledge. And we have other ways of giving back. And if our volunteers don't get matched that week, we have a lot of lists of suggestions that they can do. Maybe make a meal for their local fire station or police department or hospital workers, or pay it forward, pay for somebody's coffee behind you in line. Just spreading kindness. That's really the mission overall. And I think as an organization and as a pandemic kind of goes forward, or hopefully the pandemic comes to an end, as that happens, then the organization itself will kind of shift. And I think at the heart of it, it is providing a warm meal, whether that is lasagna or casserole or something. We're very flexible in that, and a lot of our chefs have been doing this for a lot of months, and they have some other, recipes that they have shared along the way and that they provide. At the end of the day, it is just about spreading kindness. We do some other group events. We've done with the Pontiac Lighthouse in Pontiac. We are working with the Detroit Fridge right now, and we have an event this Sunday, this coming week, with St. Moses Church in Detroit as well, that we're providing 250 meals for that. So there's going to be a place for Lasagna Love going forward.
So with that too, Jolie, what have you gotten out of this over the past 5 months?
The feedback, the very first delivery that I made, it still kind of makes me so excited, kind of chokes me up a little. I remember I made the delivery and they were so grateful. And when I got home, I was just jumping up and down from just the sheer joy that I was able to do by spending an hour of my day, an hour and a half, making this lasagna, delivering it to their house, and I could just feel the impact that I was making. And so I see those stories on a daily basis. I get replies back from my volunteers or on our Facebook group, and just seeing, just the amount of joy and kindness that we're spreading.
And there's something about lasagna as well. It gives you that feeling of a home cooked meal, but it's like you said, it's easy enough of a dish that pretty much everyone can participate.
That's right. We've had college students that have requested because they're away from home and they're in a dorm room and they just want a home cooked meal, and so it's that idea, seniors that are living by themselves. There's all kinds of scenarios where exactly that, just that, the warmth, the comfort.
I really do hope this continues on because it's a little bit different take on just trying to, maybe help with the local soup kitchen. It's directly to a family in need. And we know during the pandemic, so many families have suffered, but a lot of them too for the first time. And they've been maybe embarrassed to reach out. And this is a good way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy. It's very, like we said, contactless. All the information is private. And yeah, it's just been a really great thing to do in the community and all over the country.
So when you make a lasagna for another family, are you eating lasagna that night as well? And how much lasagna have you eaten over the past few months?
I know a lot of times we actually have this ongoing thing in our Facebook group about what to do with leftover noodles. Like there's lasagna chips.
Yes.
If you didn't know that was a thing, I make lasagna roll-ups a lot when I'm doing it, because the house just smells so good. Everybody else is like, well, where's our lasagna? So I try to multi-purpose my ingredients a lot. So yeah, but it's good. Like I said, it's cheese and pasta and sauce. Who doesn't love it on a regular basis?
It is true though. Why is it? It always seems like there are extra noodles.
There's always extra noodles and broken noodles. And I've learned some fun tips. Did you know that you didn't have to cook a regular noodle before you made a lasagna? You can put it in uncooked in the pan, just cover it with enough sauce and it'll cook right in the lasagna.
Really?
Right.
Wow. Think about how much time that saves you in making a lasagna, right?
The mess and the slippery noodle, and you can paint the cheese on the pasta. Yeah. So I've become a better lasagna cook.
We're talking with Jolie Abreu. She is the regional leader for Lasagna Love, a nonprofit that has grown out of the pandemic. It started with one mom in her kitchen making a lasagna and offering it up through Facebook at the beginning of the pandemic. And it has grown into a nationwide movement. And with that, about how many volunteers do you have here in the Metro Detroit area?
So now that I had that written down and now I lost it. We have currently, I have it on my phone. We have currently 73,303 volunteers nationwide. We've impacted 292,365 families as of last week, and we should hit the 300,000 mark this week.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
Yep. Yeah, or individuals, 300,000 individuals, because we count up the number of people in the family.
So with that, Jolie, too, do you still need more volunteers?
Yes, we absolutely still need more volunteers. Our biggest areas of need are people that are willing to deliver into Detroit or Warren. That's where we have a tremendous amount of requests. And like I said, we do these group events, so we have lots of opportunity. Yeah, so there's definitely room to grow. We are expanding all over and looking for people in the Flint area as well right now. That would be a huge area. So yeah, that's where we're at, looking for a new regional leader in Flint.
Right? Just tossing it out there. More help is needed.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. Even the regional leader stuff. It's still a fun thing to volunteer. There's a little more responsibility and organization behind the scenes, but it's very impactful and it's a lot of fun and the community is great and the leadership is great. We're 100% volunteers, and everybody's just super passionate about it and always willing to help. So it's really great.
Especially when it's like an individual event that you can do at home with your family and drop it off to another family, because we do know, especially early on in the pandemic, people didn't want to be around other people. So going to volunteer at, the homeless shelter or the soup kitchen, people weren't comfortable doing that. in the beginning of the pandemic. So this is a great way to get involved, even as we're still kind of coming out of, we hope to be the end of the pandemic, so that we know there are going to be a lot of people that are uncomfortable in group settings. So
well, even our group events, they're not really group events where we're all getting together in a group. We're just dropping off. So the church is distributing this one this week. We're delivering. A lot of us are delivering on Sunday. They have a freezer ready to go to store, and then they're distributing on Friday. So, we're just dropping the food off so people can go at their own, availability. So, yeah. So it's still been very, it's been very good for people that are a little hesitant.
So I do think every time we make a lasagna, because it's just my husband and I, it seems like we're eating lasagna for the next week, because you can't just make a small lasagna.
It's hard. It's hard. You can make a loaf pan. We've learned that. So you can do a little loaf pan lasagna, but then a loaf pan for 2 people is still not enough lasagna. Let's be real. So, and it's always better the next day. So you make it, and then freeze it and take it out in a couple of days, and it's fine.
Wow. Have you been able to talk to some of the people on the receiving end, and are they becoming more open to ask for help? Because we know that there's always been such a stigma attached to asking for assistance, and there's a lot of pride. But during the pandemic, we know people have had to, and I think it's okay, because we know so many people lost their jobs, or their hours were reduced, things of that nature. So do you see people are being more willing to open up and talk about their need?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. We actually had somebody that we interviewed a month or so ago, that had surgery. And it was that kind of thing. And they just knew that they weren't going to be able to have a home cooked meal, or, and that sort of thing. And it really kind of helped. We also have been doing a lot of outreach. Teacher Appreciation Week, there was somebody came up with the idea of putting a little flyer in whatever, the teacher boxes for Teacher Appreciation Week to request a lasagna. And we've seen some of those come through where, it's just, it's not so much, like I said, obviously a lot of the people, there is a more of a financial need, but ultimately it's just, we're trying to spread that awareness. It's just about the goodness that comes from it. And you just need a boost in your day, and will this lasagna help?
Right. I mean, and we know, like, teachers, they're working like double time throughout this pandemic. So again, if it can just help them for that day and relieve a little bit of stress, it really is an amazing program, and how it started just a few short months ago, really. I mean, it's not that long, and to see how quickly it has grown really speaks to the hearts of so many people such as yourself wanting to get involved.
Yeah. No, it's really amazing. I mean, just since I started when I started in December, we had 16 volunteers in the greater Detroit metro. We had 16. Now I think we're well over 300.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. And Ann Arbor, and, Jackson is another place where we need volunteers. FYI, I forgot about my Ann Arbor friends. Jackson, there's a lot of need, and we don't have as many volunteers there. So Jackson, Detroit, Warren, Flint, downriver a little bit, we need some help. So, yeah.
Well, it is so great that they have people such as yourself be so passionate about this. So Jolie, again, where can people sign up and get more information?
Sure. They can go to lasagnalove.org, and they can go there to sign up to volunteer. They can sign up to receive a lasagna. You can nominate somebody. So if you are nominating a friend or family member here or across the country, please use the nomination. So that way that gets processed through correctly. And then they'll get matched, as soon as possible. If we have enough volunteers, they'll be matched within that same week. And then, and they can request once a month too. I forgot to mention that. So all of our recipients are eligible to request once a month from the date of delivery of the last lasagna.
That's great. And what happens too, though, because if you start to get people that aren't so close, maybe the meal's not going to be hot when it gets there. Does that matter? Because I guess you can always just reheat it.
Yeah. So, well, a couple of things. The volunteers can put in a request for how far of a radius they're willing to go, up to 25 miles. I think they can go up to 50 miles. We do ask the recipients if they prefer it. Some would prefer it not cooked. We can deliver frozen, we can deliver fresh, ready to cook, we can deliver cooked and hot. And also if it's hot, lasagna stays hot for a really long time. So as long as you just kind of wrap it up, and that's the other thing. I love Facebook. We're like MacGyvers in there, and we figured out how to keep things hot and flat, and we're recycling some of our Amazon boxes and using those. We've all got the Amazon boxes laying around, so we use those, and have just figured out ways to keep it hot if we're delivering hot. Yeah, so where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. And it sounds like so many of you are meeting new friends along the way as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's been really fun. As our area has grown, we now have 4 regional leaders in our area. Well, 5 if you include the Brighton area. Now we just added a new regional leader. And so we communicate on a regular basis. A couple of us have gotten together in person. We're going to do another little regional leader get together. There's only the 5 of us, so it's fine. But it's been fun to be able to connect. And even my volunteers, I've connected with some of them here and there, and so it's been fun. Like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I don't mind talking to people. I like meeting new people. I find people fascinating, so for me, it's a good fit to meet new people and talk to interesting people along the way and just learn their stories. I'm sure you probably enjoy that also.
Stories, stories and people's journeys really are fascinating. So,
yeah. I say that a lot. I find people fascinating.
right. Jolie Abreu with us. She's the regional leader, Lasagna Love. We so appreciate your time, and we wish you continued success and that this sticks around long after the pandemic as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So if you want to help your neighbor make a lasagna and feed their heart and their soul, we're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. When we come back, another agency helping our fur-legged friends, Dog Aide, the executive director, will be with us here after the break.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or 2 or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and experiences connect through conversation, and it feels good.
This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together. Start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Long-form news on the Oakland County Megacast and short-form stories from your hometown in West Bloomfield, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake return on The Splash on Tuesday, May 25th at 5 p.m. here on Lakes FM and on Civic Center TV. WWJ's Brooke Allen hosts the show as we go through the latest stories in the greater West Bloomfield area. That's The Splash, May 25th, coming back here on Civic Center TV and Lakes FM. And now, more Megacast.
Thank you for taking time out of your Friday to be with us here on the Megacast. And what a beautiful day outdoors today. The sun is shining. It's going to be up to 70. And what a great time to get outside and try to help some of our four-legged friends. But Jen Clarkson, she joins us now on the Megacast. She's the Executive Director of Dog Aide. You have been helping dogs of Detroit for quite some time.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 years in November.
Can you believe that much time has passed?
No.
So, and with that, Jen, before we kind of get into the stories, how did Dog Aide even get started?
We actually started as a rescue organization. Many of us had been rescuing dogs. The founders had been rescuing dogs independently and all came together to try to start to rescue dogs in the city that we saw had emergency medical situations. And we quickly sort of realized that the scope of the problem was a lot bigger than what we were seeing, and that we needed to try to address it from the most basic level that we possibly could.
And so with that as well, how does your organization operate on a day-to-day basis today?
So our organization is an outreach-only organization. We don't do any rescue at all. And what we do is we work with the citizens in Detroit who own pets to help them keep their pets in their home, offering resources like food or leashes or collars at the most basic. We also will provide free spay neuter service for any owned dog in the city. We help with vaccines, anything that anybody is really struggling with to care for their pet.
We're talking with Jen Clarkson. She's the Executive Director for Dog Aide. And with that, Jen, I'm sure that you have so many stories to share, some of them heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. After 10 years, I've seen the gamut. There's no doubt about that.
But one of the things throughout the pandemic, we know that families a lot of time are struggling just to feed, their kids throughout the pandemic. And so sometimes it could be hard for them when they have pets to, that trying to stretch those dollars to feed their pet as well.
Yeah, and we really look at ourselves as what we provide is an opportunity to be able to alleviate some of the stress that people have especially in these COVID times, just to make sure that when they're struggling to feed their children, when they're struggling to pay bills, that they don't have to think about pet food or pet care, and they don't have to consider the possibility that they might have to give up their family member to make the best choice for the animal. We would never want them to be in that situation. So a lot of this is retention too. This is our intervention, making sure that those animals don't end up in our shelter system either.
What a great program. And because we do know too, when it comes to vet bills, they can be so expensive. So sometimes, a dog or a cat, they get some type of ailment, but because of a tight budget, their owners don't take them to the vet, and then the problem becomes worse. Mm-hmm. And so this is a great way to kind of bridge that gap, help keep the pet with the family, but also get the pet the care that it needs.
Absolutely. And I think that we take for granted very often that people understand things as basic as vaccines and how they can be helpful. And so we look at ourselves as, or we look at this as an opportunity to be able to share information that we know that somebody else might not have, so that they're making the best choices that they can to move forward in order to be a great pet parent.
So I would imagine donations are always welcome.
Always. We're a nonprofit, so we function 100% on donations, and none of our directors, none of our board members, nobody gets paid. So everything that comes to us goes into our programs.
So with that, Jim, what's it been like over the past year with donations? Because we do know a lot of nonprofits, the need has been greater, but also trying to raise money has been a bit more difficult through the COVID crisis.
I would actually count us as really lucky. We have a very great base of supporters who's never backed down from making sure we had what we needed. We're also very proud about the fact that we function on a very tight budget, and we know how to make our dollar stretch. So we have never felt in the position that we needed to cut back on anything, and we've pretty much stayed the course in terms of the donations coming in, which has been fabulous, because that means that our families are getting what they need.
So tell us more about Project Grace.
Project Grace is a program that we developed, I think it's been 4 years. Yeah, 2016 we started it. We run it with another organization called Bark Nation, who also functions in Detroit. And what it is a free spay neuter program for any owned dog in the city. So we will spay or neuter your pet. They get vaccines with that. They get a microchip, and they get their city license as well. So we're keeping them compliant with the city of Detroit in terms of what they need. We're with the microchip, that gives them the ability, if that dog gets lost, that dog has a much greater chance of getting back home. If they end up in the shelter, they're getting back home. So we're trying to reunite those pets. They get that first round of vaccines, so they're kept happy and healthy, and we're contributing, or we're trying to take away from the overpopulation of animals in the city that end up on the streets. We've done, since 2016, we've done close to 1,500 animals.
That's a lot of animals.
It is. Yeah, if you start to think about how many litters a dog can have in a year times 1,500, we feel like we're more than happily accomplishing what our goal is.
So do you only focus on dogs, or do you dogs and cats?
At the moment, we're only doing dogs, just because the two organizations that developed the program, that was our sole focus. I can't say in the future, as things get where we want them with dogs, that we won't include cats in those numbers, but at the moment, only dogs.
We know the city of Detroit a few years ago really was making headlines because of the dogs in Detroit, and there are so many stray dogs. It's heartbreaking to see them, you know, in abandoned buildings and abandoned houses, roaming the streets. And, you know, we've also seen the heartbreaking stories where loose dogs have injured people and children. So when the headlines make national news like that, does it help your organization because people are becoming more aware of the problem?
It does. And because with that awareness, it brings assistance potentially. So once again, we pride ourselves on the fact that we work with all of the shelters in the city of Detroit. We are on a very friendly basis with all of them. Those are relationships we've worked very hard on, so that we can get them to understand what we're seeing as citizens, and really put forth to them what we think needs to be done. And they've been very open to those conversations. And by having those headlines on a regular basis, it started to make national organizations that would be potentially making donations pay attention. They know that Detroit needed the help, and it's really, especially in the last couple of years, it's really started to be impactful in terms of who's paying attention to what we're doing here.
So how does a program such as Project Grace work? Do you have a list of families that you work directly with? Because I would imagine you have to schedule appointments, to be able to get their pets or their dogs fixed.
So when we started the Project Grace, we worked with an organization out of Warren called All About Animals, who has a mobile surgical unit. And we would have them bring that surgical van truck into the city, and we would set up appointments, and people would bring their dogs right to us wherever we had the vans set up. Because of COVID, we obviously weren't able to be having contact with other people. So we switched to a voucher system. So if you get a hold of us, and we have a Facebook page, it's listed on the Dog Aide website. We have flyers that we pass out. We post on any next door pages that we can find. If you get in contact with us, we will send you a voucher in the mail, and we list out multiple veterinarians on there that work with us, that you can call whoever is closest to you, whatever's most convenient, and make an appointment with them and utilize those services.
We're talking with Jen Clarkson. She's the executive director for Dog Aide. And with that, Jen, just another minute or two with you here on the show. Yeah. Anything maybe we didn't talk about that you want to add, or how can people get involved if they want to volunteer or donate?
So we do have a website that's dogaide.com, dogaide.com. We have a Facebook page, and we're always looking for volunteers. You can contact us through the Facebook page. You can contact us through the website if that's something you want to do. We do have a monthly outreach program where anybody who is one of our clients, we go to their house. We check in, make sure everything's okay with them. We drop off food and any other necessities that they might have asked for over the last month. So we have that going on. We have another project that we just launched where we're going to be building kennels for some dogs that live outdoors most of the time, so that they can be more free roaming. So if somebody wants to get involved in terms of building, or a really hands-on kind of a project, we have about 80 active volunteers. So we always have places for people to plug in and help out. And in terms of donations, you can always contact us at those the website or the Facebook page too. And we'll happily take, all kinds of different things. We have
on the top of the list of most needed items right now.
We always are looking for tie-outs. Because we want to keep dogs safe and in their yards if need be. We're always looking for collars. Everybody's, dogs go through collars pretty quickly. So we always like to have a good supply of those. Treats, of course, because we love to be able to treat the pups when we see them. And food is always huge. We go through about 5,000 pounds of food a month. So yeah, we're always cycling through that constantly.
So when it comes to food, I know that, they say dogs should eat the same thing because their stomachs can get upset if you switch the food that you're feeding them. So do you have a particular brand that you want, or at this time, it just doesn't really matter?
I wish that we could, that we could feed them the same thing every time. We've not been able to consistently have that available to us. On our website, we do have a Chewy wish list and an Amazon wish list, and we do only have, I think, one type of food listed on there. So if we can, we're always going to give the same food. We do have some dogs in our program that have allergies, and we make sure that as donations are coming in, that certain things are set aside for those certain dogs, so they're not getting the items that might cause allergic reactions for them. So we try to be as cognizant about that as we can. Yes.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Jen Clarkson with us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Director for Dog Aide. Jen, it's been so great talking with you. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Ronnie. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Well, and thank you to you and your team for everything that you do for the dogs of Detroit. I know that you're really making a difference in so many pets' lives. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. Still a lot to get to in the second hour. And when we come back, we're going to be talking dinosaurs. That's next here on the Megacast.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing.
When it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands.
Watch your distance.
And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
The Megacast will return after this short break, but while we're in the break, I want to remind you that Civic Center TV, West Bloomfield's Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show, The Splash, returns on May 25th at 5 p.m. here on Civic Center TV and on 89.3 Lakes FM. Join WWJ News Radio 950's Brooke Allen as she goes over the latest stories and events happening in the Greater West Bloomfield area. It's been off the air for a year plus now with the pandemic, but The Splash is coming back May 25th right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. More Megacast coming up after this quick break.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
We want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us here on the Megacast Friday edition. And we are going on a safari here on the Megacast. Well, really only out to Lake Orion, but still a safari nonetheless. With us now on the show, let's bring in Keith Aldridge. He's the owner of Canterbury Village, but you all have a very exciting program coming up. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ronnie. Yes, we do. We have we're transforming Canterbury Village into a big Jurassic Park the next couple of weekends.
Well, you definitely are dressed for the part. How are ticket sales going?
Ticket sales are going very good, and the reaction in Metro Detroit has been super positive. And obviously, we're teaming up with Metro Detroit Chevy dealers and Dog Aide. I know you just had the young lady on talking about Dog Aide, and we're super happy. We're going to raise a whole bunch of food for them. As you said, anything that pets need, and we're going to fill up some Silverados here at Canterbury, just like we did last year with the toy bottomless toy chest. So exciting stuff happening at Canterbury over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, that is so great. Thank you for supporting them. It's a great organization. With that, Keith, so many parents must be so excited for this event. With that, for people that are going to be going for the Dino Stroll, what can they anticipate? What will they see?
Well, they're going to see basically life-size dinosaurs. A lot of them move and growl. Actually, we just plugged some of them in this morning. I was just looking at my phone right before we got on the Zoom call here, and it's the first dinosaur we plugged in, and it is cool. And then obviously we're going to have all kinds of neat stuff like this for kids. You got little dinosaurs, you got stickers, you got little plush things that the kids are going to go crazy for. Mom and dads are going to love them. And of course, you have to you got to throw out a tie-dye T-shirt, because there was tie-dye back in the dinosaur era, wasn't there?
Absolutely. Who said dinosaurs are extinct, right?
Exactly. Well, they're not extinct at Canterbury Village. We have about 75 of them. They look alive and well out here.
Keith Aldridge with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Canterbury Village. And Keith, you and your team have been doing such a great job of trying to find fun events to attract people to the village. How did you come up with this one?
Well, like you said, we had to think outside the box in 2020, and a lot of things went right for us. You know, luckily, knock on wood, superstitious. And we were just kind of brainstorming after our big holiday stroll and thinking of things that we could do for fun family and cheap entertainment for families, you know, inexpensive. Not to say that a Tigers game and a Red Wings game is not a lot of fun for families, but they can get pricey. And trust me, I love, you know, I play professional hockey, so, you know, I love hockey. And so we were just trying to think, you know, what can we do for families? Cheap entertainment, you know, bring the families together on Friday, Saturdays. You know, a lot of parents are both working these days. So how can you spend quality time together? And then we were just kind of brainstorming what we could do, and Dinosaurs popped in our head. And lo and behold, we have about, as I said, about 75 of them. They're really cool, and the reaction in our community has been unbelievable so far.
So with that, again, we're talking with Keith Aldridge with us here on the Megacast from Canterbury Village. This is mainly an outdoor event as well, correct?
It's all outdoors at Canterbury Village. It's on our 21-acre campus, and it's just a stroll through. The kids can get up and close to the dinosaurs, you know, read some history about them, and it's going to be pretty cool. And we have, you know, we have costumes that, you know, have people in them that are super lifelike. If you've seen any of our videos around, we've been in Detroit the last couple of weeks, having some great footage put down there. But I tell you what, we're shooting a commercial at Metro Detroit at a Chevy dealer last week or 2 weeks ago. And you would have thought that the Beatles had landed in the dealership. Everybody stopped what they were doing. It didn't matter if you were on a sales call or not. You just stopped what you were doing. The whole dealership, you know, customers, the employees all ran up to our dinosaur. And I was like sitting back going, holy cow, where's Paul? I mean, where's John? It was unbelievable, the reaction. And then we took them down to Lafayette, Coney Island the other day. I mean, we had cops stopping, you know, doing U-E's in the street, you know, buses stopping. It was pandemonium. It was like, this is unbelievable. And the little kids were running up to them, and just, you know, it's just a lot of fun.
And dinosaurs aren't just for kids.
And so I think some of the moms like them better. I mean, holy cow, we got this one mom that stopped at Canterbury Village. Channel 4 got her on live TV. She was going crazy. That she was more excited than her two daughters. It was great to see.
So with that, Keith, tell us what days are the events? Because I believe it's a couple weekends, and how can people get tickets?
Well, you can go to dinosaur or dinostroll.com. Obviously, you can go to bigtickets.com. They're our ticket supplier. Or you can just go to our canterburyvillage.com or our Facebook page, and all the links are right there. So pretty simple to find us.
I think you've been so great and so creative at trying to bring events to Canterbury Village and to help the small businesses stay open during this time. What other events do you have going on?
Well, we actually just ordered some dragons from the same company that we're doing with. So we're going to do a big medieval type / stroll come July. They're just getting built right now. It's going to be really cool. I mean, we're going to take, you know, the thing they do up in Holly to the next level. And I'm not, you know, they do a great job up there. I've been there a few times. Well, the Renaissance Festival. They do a great job, but we're going to interact, you know, real life-size dragons that move and growl, and it's going to be pretty high-end. And then I think right now it looks like we're going to be able to execute our big food festivals that we do out here at Canterbury, which we did in 2019. So those are all on track right now, and it looks like, you know, as everybody's getting vaccinated and things are opening up, that we should be able to execute those this year.
Yeah, you have so many great events. You guys have been creative. I will say we did the Halloween stroll as well as the holiday lights. Both events are so nice. And plus, it's like you said, it's outdoors as well. And but what's it been like for some of the small businesses there at the village?
Well, you know, knock on wood, we were probably the only brick and mortar retail location last year that was actually up, and we were up about 60%. because I do run one of the stores at the Village. Everything is leased out with private small business owners. But our Michigan market, with all 60, 65 vendors in there, I control the sales and everything. So our Michigan store was actually up 65% last year, if you can believe it.
Wow.
And when I say that, we were probably the only brick and mortar store in Metro Detroit that was up for sales compared to 2019.
That is really great to hear as well. And with that too, Keith, do you think this is going to be something that sticks around from here on out, these events that you've been doing?
Oh, yes. That's, as I bought Canterbury from my father and my parents last year, we're just going to we're building Canterbury into, huge and one of Metro Detroit's best family event centers, weekend event centers with, shopping some weekends, events some weekends, food festivals some weekends. So our team has been very creative. They're doing a great job. Our charity causes have been great. Like this one, we're teaming up with Jay Towers on next Thursday, raising some money for him. And then obviously with Metro Detroit Chevy dealers and Dog Aide. And then we actually opened up a village food pantry here on campus with partnership with Woodside Bible Church. And our food donations have been unbelievable. Actually, the church actually said, Keith, can you settle down a little bit? We don't have enough room yet. So actually, I'm starting to store all the food in my restaurant that's closed. So a lot of great stuff going on at Canterbury. And me and my wife are just super excited to be part of the community and our charity aspects that we're doing. So it's lots of fun out here.
But it's great. It's, it's almost like you're creating a new experience of shopping with entertainment.
Yeah, and that's our goal, and it's working out very, very well for us. And families love our architecture in our 21-acre campus, which is beautiful to walk around. You got Yates Cider Mill, you got the Sea Pub, you got lots of great shopping. So there's lots to do out at Canterbury. It's a nice, cheap afternoon for families.
And so with that, Keith, can I ask you? You mentioned briefly the closed restaurant. Is it going to stay closed?
Well, I can't execute weddings right now. So, the main driver in that particular building, it's a very big building. It's 38,000 square feet. I don't know what I'm going to do. Actually, we're talking about converting it into a haunted house right now. I actually bought a couple used haunted houses and I already hired somebody. So that, kind of let the cat out of the bag. It will turn into a haunted house.
I could just see that conversation. Oh, hey, by the way, honey, I bought a haunted house today.
Yes, I did. And two of them. And they're getting shipped in from New York. So yeah, my wife's really kind of just sitting back laughing about this stuff. With the dinosaurs and everything that we're doing, but she's into it, and she does a great job with our family, so we're pretty lucky.
You know what? I can see right now the potential for some future weddings, though, a haunted house wedding.
You never know what's going to happen, and it should be very interesting. And I'm looking forward to the haunted house business. Obviously, if we run it right, it can do a lot of good. And obviously, we'll have a charity component as well with our haunted house, which is super important to us. So everything is coming into play, and it should come into fruition here in October.
So with that, Keith, with the word about, the vaccines and now the CDC with the mask guidance, are you a little bit more hopeful as a business owner?
Well, obviously with our open air markets last year and our open strolls, we got lucky. We did very well. As far as my restaurant business, I'm already taking steps to convert that into something else. And thank God we figured how to make money outside of the restaurant business because it's a huge driver for me at Canterbury. So we count our blessings every day, and probably the only thing I'm frustrated about is the restaurant business right now. And I know a lot of people are, but it's just one of those things. What can you do? You better figure out how to do something else, I guess.
Right. And you know what? This might be your silver lining, though, is to come up. You had to be creative. You've done so. And it really could launch you into a brighter future because there's definitely nothing like what you're doing anywhere near us.
Correct. We're a pretty unique venue, and we're catering to the Metro Detroit families, I should say. and we're giving them, a very good product at a very reasonable price. And our response with our families has been super, super positive. So I'm happy. And plus, I'm a big family man. I love, my boys are getting older now, and so now I watch little kids run around here, and it gets me pretty excited.
It allows you to be a kid again.
It does. Maybe I could borrow a kid for an afternoon or something like that. But I can't believe how fast it's gone. My 3 boys, I'm almost an empty nester, if you can believe it, and time has flown by for us.
Oh, so with that, Keith, we do know that for so many business owners, the frustration right now is really mounting, trying to find enough employees. How is that working out there with you?
Well, that's, the one reason we haven't opened the Sea Pub restaurant, which is the, casual dining, is I can't find employees. We're fortunate as well. I'm also in the golf business right up the street at Indianwood Golf and Country Club. We can't find workers for the golf course right now. And everybody I talk to, I know some people that own McDonald's restaurants, and the owners are actually working the drive-through window. I have a gentleman that owns a Dairy Queen. He can't open up during the day because he can't find any employees during the day.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a huge problem, and somebody in Washington better figure this out real quick, or we're going to have a real problem.
Right. We do know several states have already dropped receiving the additional federal unemployment money as a way to try to address the employee shortage, especially going into the summer months, tourism. And that's when so many of the businesses really make their money to sustain them for the rest of the year.
Correct. I mean, what's Michigan built on besides, the automotive business? I mean, we're third in the union with golf courses. Up north with the shopping and the hotels and the restaurants. I could just imagine, them trying to find people to work up north this summer. It's going to be a real mess. And
I will say I'm looking at your website right now, so I'll be happy to volunteer to work the Arts Cider Ice Cream and Donuts Fest. Let's see, how about the Taco Fest, the Michigan Hippie Veggie Fest? I might skip that one. But definitely, the Rib Fest and the Truck Rally. I'm down with the Truck Rally. So you have so many cool things going on. And so you've been so creative in trying to do that. Hey, real quickly, what is today? Can I ask you about the Flower Art and Home Improvement Show? That's this weekend?
Yep, that's this weekend. We got beautiful flowers. They're already out on our campus already. Scott's Farm Market brought in a couple of truckloads of beautiful flowers. Obviously now I think we're clear of the frost. So I think, people are ready to start putting them in the ground this weekend. And we have a huge, wide selection of that. And then we have some home improvement people on site. And then obviously our great Michigan vendors that are here every weekend. And it's just a nice weekend to get out of the house. It is free, just $5 for parking. And then we do ask if people could bring canned goods for our new food pantry on our campus.
Well, thank you again for always taking time to be with us here on the show. We want to let people also remind you the Dino Stroll is going to be happening May 20th through 23rd and the 28th through the 30th. Get your tickets because I'm sure it's going to sell out quite quickly.
We're almost sold out. Yep, we're getting to the point where we're getting pretty limited on tickets, actually.
Well, Keith, anything maybe I didn't talk about that you want to add before we say goodbye?
Nope, let's just make sure that if you're coming out to Canterbury, please bring some cans for Dog Aide, bring some, collars, bring some leashes, things of that nature. Let's help Dog Aide out. They partner with us with Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. And, you can never give back enough to the great community of Detroit.
Well, thank you too for supporting such organizations. Keith Aldridge, owner at Canterbury Village. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. I hope maybe you can come out here and get some flowers this weekend.
It's on my list. Let me tell you, it's just a matter of trying to work the schedule. So Thanks again. We appreciate your time.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a great one.
You too. We're going to take a quick break here on the Megacast. And when we come back, we're going to continue the weekend fun. Tyler,
Yes, tons of weekend fun coming up, and we'll keep talking about that more on the Megacast as we head into the break. Ronnie, I just want to remind everybody, next week, Wednesday, the Michigan Week Community Awards celebration will be live on Civic Center TV at 7 o'clock p.m. That's Wednesday, May 19th, 7 p.m. here on Civic Center TV and on Lakes FM, as well as a number of local Facebook pages. The Megacast returns after this.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Over a decade ago, the journey to a COVID vaccine began. Building upon research on other coronaviruses, scientists continued with months of research and development, 3 phases of clinical trials with tens of thousands of diverse volunteers, then peer review and authorization to deliver a safe and effective vaccine that will protect all of us. Discover the facts for yourself at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Quitting smoking can improve your health, but it also protects your loved ones from secondhand smoke. Did you know there's no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke? Smoke from cigarettes, e-cigs, and hookah can travel through ventilation systems and harm those around you. So clear the air and stop secondhand smoke. Call the Michigan Tobacco Quit Line at 1-800-784-8669. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
You taking time to tune in to the Megacast. You can always catch us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon, live on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. You'll also find us on Channel 15 if you have Comcast, 99 on AT&T. You can listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And then we are also live streaming today's edition of the Megacast on our Facebook page as well. For anyone over the past few years, if you've been to downtown Detroit, you have most likely seen the peddlers strolling through the city, maybe having a cocktail or two as they're riding around the streets of Detroit. It is such a fun way to see the city. And the person behind the Michigan Peddler, Mike Gill, joining us now on the Megacast. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, Ronnie, it's great to be back on the show.
What a fun way to see the city.
It is. It's different than anything else as far as having a chance to see the city, whether you're walking, you're on a bus, you're in your car. It's a unique way in which not only are you seeing the city, but everybody's seeing you, which makes for a very interactive time. People that are on the bikes, they're many celebrities, and people are looking at them, taking pictures, hooting back at them. So it is very interactive when you're on the bike between the people on the street that are excited to see that you're having fun, and the fact that you're having fun and like seeing all the people out on the street.
So, Mike, for someone that maybe hasn't seen one of the peddlers, explain how it actually works. It's pedal power.
Sure. So it is, think of something that's the size of like a GMC Yukon or a Cadillac Escalade, but make it all open air and put up to 15 people on the bike. So currently we are limiting our guests to only 12 people on the bike, which is what we did since we reopened last year due to the pandemic. But usually we would have 15. There's 10 of those seats for people to pedal on. And so they can move the bike for miles But we also have what's called electric assist, which is kind of our cheating mechanism to let people have a little bit more of a good time, not have to work, not have to worry about working up a sweat, and still move you around. So our drivers have a pedal that's, well, it's not gas operated, it's like a gas pedal in a car, and we can move you around. But we also welcome your participation pedaling. There's a back bench for people to sit on. And a lot of times the middle section is filled with people either acting as bartenders to their guest, or as the day goes on and a couple cocktails go into them, the tunes may cause them to want to dance in that aisle.
And so with that too, I always wonder when I see the people when their backs are kind of facing out to the street. Do you ever get people who get somewhat car sick or bicycle sick riding on this and trying to pedal, drink, talk, and do it all at once?
No, I haven't heard of car sickness. I think a few people might have had a little bit too much to drink at times, and we'll leave it at that. But you're moving at a really slow rate. If we're using our electric assist, you're moving around 10 to 12 miles per hour. So it's a very slow move, and other than a pothole or two here and there, it's a very smooth roll too.
So with that, Mike, do you anticipate this summer is going to be extra busy because so many people were kind of, staying home last year?
Yeah, I mean, so far we had a record-breaking April, and I think we're having a record-breaking May right now. So far, all indications are people are looking forward to getting out and enjoying the outdoors, and even more so, just having an opportunity, to meet up again with friends, with family, those that they haven't maybe seen for a long time. This is a perfect way to kind of get the band back together and see everyone for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it seems like it's also a good thing for maybe an office to do. If they've had employees that haven't been together in the office for the past year.
Well, yeah, great point, Ronnie, because we've had, a huge corporate business in which people do, what I call forced fun, where, they gather their work team together and they go out and they'll have lunch or they'll have drinks and then go on our bike for 2 hours, like in a mid-afternoon on a weekday. And that was something that last year, even after we reopened, never came back to us. We did not have a lot of corporate rides in 2020 simply because no one was working in the office, and getting together in kind of a work environment was almost like taboo. So it was something that we're starting to see now. We're receiving calls that are even from groups that are still working remotely. They're saying this would be a good way for us to see each other, in the flesh and blood.
So with that, we're talking with Mike Gill. He is the owner for the Michigan Peddler. Sorry about that, Mike. I have to cough. I was trying to hold it back. You know how you have that tickle in the throat and you're trying to hold it back?
Absolutely.
But with that too, how are you doing on the employee front? Because so many businesses are hurting in that area right now.
Yeah, I heard you speak with with your previous guest about that, and it is a huge concern, for us as well as for for us as well as for a number of other businesses that we're working with. So the good news for us is that we have a very, very loyal team that's been with us for many of them for now 4 and 5 years. So we brought back, all of our drivers from 2020 returned to work for us this year. Most of them, with us, unlike a lot of restaurants that are dealing with these kind of issues, we are a secondary job since we are, our hours are based upon our demand. And obviously we don't do a lot of work in the winter. So most people have a second job. A lot of people are teachers, and this is a summer way of making extra income, different things like that. So anyhow, very pleased to say all of our 2020 drivers return. We've been hiring, a few people, but the amount of work that goes into finding someone in a classified ad or, on Indeed just doesn't really have a lot of success for us. Most of our hires for this year have come from recommendations from other people on our team to join us. And, you know, in talking with some of the restaurants and the bars that we stop at and when we work at, you know, they're fighting the story that you're, you know, reading in the Detroit Free Press or seeing on the national news all over, as far as trying to find workers and perhaps, you know, trying to figure out how to offer the service that they want to offer without the number of people that they really want to have, or having to go and reduce their hours, which we've seen at a number of, you know, restaurants and bars in the city of Detroit.
We're talking with Mike Gill. He is the owner for the Michigan Peddler. And with that, Mike, I wouldn't think so, but I'm going to ask, do your employees have to have a bicycle license to cruise around the city of Detroit? How does it work with the city?
They do. So there is a special license that the city requires all of our drivers to have.
Oh, really?
In addition to a regular driver's license. So, you know, it's to kind of check some different boxes, but they make sure that, you know, that they do a felony check. They run a ticket check to make sure you don't have any outstanding tickets with the city. And then you go through an application and you get your picture taken, and it's, you know, a secondary ID card that I have, as well as all our drivers, sitting in our wallet.
Wow. See,
Things you didn't think you'd
new.
learn today, huh?
Exactly. Mike Gill with us. He's the owner for the Michigan Peddler. And so with this too, Mike, how it works, this is by reservation only, right? You can't just see you pedaling through the streets of Detroit and hop on.
No, but a lot of people think you can. On a Saturday afternoon, when it, like the Saturday I think we're going to have tomorrow, our phone rings off the hook at between like 3 and 6 o'clock with people out in the city looking for something to do. And we drive by and they call and say, where's your next pickup point? We want to jump on. That doesn't work, although a lot of people would like it to work that way. You make a reservation, you book a whole bike. So like I said before, it's for up to 12 people right now. I envision very soon we'll be able to move to the full capacity of 15. And so you rent that bike, it, you know, averages between, if you divide it out at those numbers, anywhere from around $20, $25 to maybe on a Saturday more like $32 or $33 per person. And you choose, you know, your time. You can book it all on our website, or you can call our offices and book it over the phone, and then plan your group, get your group down together. We have a parking lot that we start out of, and it's very affordable. It's $10 to park there. You get a $10 gift certificate to McShane's Irish Pub, which is the bar that we work out of. So it's basically essentially free parking. And you go around the city for 2 hours. You choose where you want to go in the city, whether that's sticking around Corktown, which is where we're based out of, or moving and heading into downtown Detroit, up to Midtown, or we can also swing you through Eastern Market.
So with that, Mike, do you have exact routes that you have to take?
No, you know, we try to customize the routes based on what our guests want to do. So each of them have a little bit of a different feel. The typical, or if you want to say a generic thing, would be that, you know, you're on the bike for 2 hours. You usually stop at 1 or 2 bars, not only to grab a drink, but also to just stretch a little bit after sitting on the bike and to use the restrooms. We'll usually stop someplace to take a picture so that you remember your trip and have kind of a memento. So we'll take a photo at, you know, the Stevie Wonder mural in downtown Detroit, or the big tiger at Comerica Park, the Spirit of Detroit statue, the train station out in Corktown, you know, murals in Eastern Market. Something like that will, you know, stop for a group picture along the way. And so that's your typical ride. People want to do other things though. If someone wants to, you know, stop at the Shinola store and look at watches, or, you know, bring their friends through and see, you know, some kind of other shop, you know, the Nike store in downtown, you know, any of those kind of things, that's all possible too. So we'll work and customize it. So there's never an exact route, because everyone does things a little different. When you throw in, if we get back to events and traffic, our drivers maneuver the streets to allow you to keep pedaling as best as possible.
So Mike, what about people that maybe don't have such a large group? Is there something they can do that's smaller?
Sure. So we debuted late in 2019 what we call our mini peddler, and that seats 6 people. So it's it's roughly half the price of our big bikes, and it allows groups to go out that maybe it's a family that wants to go out together, or 3 couples going out for a Friday night out there. It allows for not as much planning as it takes to get a group of 12 to 15 people ready to go out, but it's a great way to see the city. We've had a lot of interest through the hotels downtown that they'll have a family or a couple couples in town, and this is a great way for them to see the city and pedal around too.
We're talking with Mike Gill. He's the owner of the Michigan Peddler. And Mike, when you started this 5 years ago, did you anticipate it was going to be so popular?
I had no idea that we would be in the situation that we are in 2021. We started out with 1 bike, and it proved very successful in our first year. We got a little bit of a spark or a bump from having a cameo, I guess you could say, in the Detroiters, the TV show that was on Comedy Central that year. And so we went in, we got a second bike, and then decided, let's get 2 more bikes. And so we've been growing to where we have now 6 bikes plus the mini peddler. And so over the years it's growing. We didn't think that, there would be a market for that. And, here we are in the 3rd week of May, and we're basically sold out for tomorrow already, and expect that to be happening a lot through the rest of the summer.
Well, and after the year that we had last year, just like they say, after, the Spanish flu came the roaring 20s. So
right.
I think you're going to have a very busy season ahead of you.
We're very fortunate too to have, our guests, can't tell you how many of them come back. We've had people this year that went out on a Sunday and had so much fun that they came back and booked for 2 days later on a Tuesday. So one of our things that we have a 5.0 on TripAdvisor and 4.99, I think, on Google reviews. Our customers like the experience, and the fact that we have so many repeat customers allows us to, have our business continue to grow.
Mike Gill with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner for the Michigan Peddler. You can see them cruising around the streets in the downtown Detroit area. Mike, just another minute or 2 before we say goodbye. Anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to share with our listeners and viewers before we let you go?
No, I just, again, encourage people to check us out, visit our website and see. There's plenty of time still available in the summer, and prime dates and in the June and July and August on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, as well as during the week. We'd love to get teacher groups to come out to celebrate the end of the year teaching, and kind of let them celebrate a weird and crazy school year. But give us a call, and we're happy to answer any questions, either myself or our team that answers calls. We love to walk through and plan an event that works for your needs.
Well, and let's hope that we had the beautiful weather that we had last summer as well, because what happens if it rains?
Well, then people have fun in the rain. We run rain or shine. We have a canopy that covers people, but I can't tell you some of the great pictures and great experiences that people have had. Now, I'm not saying I root for it to rain, but people end up having kind of just a unique experience pedaling around in the rain and having a lot of laughs for different reasons.
Yeah, I can see it now. Rain cannot stop the fun when it comes to the Michigan Peddler. Mike Gill, we so appreciate your time today.
Hey, great. I appreciate you having me on, and good luck with the Megacast.
Thank you so much, and happy weekend to you. Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break here on the Megacast. Just about 20 minutes here left in the show. And when we come back, we'll be speaking with the owner of Malley Sports Grill and Bar. the burger joint. That's next here on the Megacast.
Wearing a mask is more than protection. It's a bridge to better days. The path back to celebrations with family. Nights out on the town with friends. Game days with your favorite sports teams. And the thrill of live concerts. But until we can all get the COVID-19 vaccine and build community immunity, which will take time, we all need to continue to stay careful. Because Michigan's recovery is depending on you, and so are your family, friends, and neighbors. So even after you're vaccinated, wear a mask, avoid large gatherings, and social distance. One day in the near future, we will all be able to put this pandemic behind us. But until then, spread hope, not COVID. Learn more at michigan.gov/coronavirus. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Finally, I just got my COVID-19 vaccine.
I registered with my local health department and they called me.
I got mine at the pharmacy, and my neighbor got hers from the hospital.
I'm not a techie person, so I called the COVID hotline, and they helped me schedule an appointment.
Get vaccinated with the first vaccine you can. Protect us all.
Learn more at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in my home studios. Mr. Tyler Keefe holding things down for us back there in West Bloomfield. Tyler, have you ever had those days where you just want a burger? A really good burger.
Oh yeah. Don't we all?
Well, I don't eat burgers that often, but when I do, I will tell you it is worth it. If you're going to waste your calories on a great burger, you want to head down to Southgate. The Malley Sports Grill and Bar, well known for its burgers. People come from all over to enjoy the food there at the sports bar. With us now, let's bring in Steve Malley. He's the owner of Malley Sports Grill and Bar. Thanks, Steve, for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And sorry to kind of get you. You're probably going to be heading into a lunch rush.
Yeah, Fridays are a little hectic. We're busy for lunch and getting ready for a busy weekend. So that's a good thing. It's busy, but busy is good.
So with that, Steve, when it comes to restaurants, you really haven't been open that long. What, you opened in 2005?
Well, yeah, that's 16 years ago. That's to me, that's kind of long.
Well, in the restaurant industry as well,
I mean, it's an achievement to make it that long. I think a lot of places are done in under 5 years, and we've kind of tripled that. So I'm pretty happy with the run we've had so far.
Well, you've had a great run, and one of the reasons is simply because you are a marketing genius. How did you come up with really building your business around the burger?
Well, it's pretty simple. Well, one, I'm a workaholic. My mind never stops. So I'm pretty creative. And when I was a kid, my parents used to take me to Farrell's and for my birthday. And we used to have a thing called the ice cream trough. And it was a big, huge trough of ice cream. They used to bring it out with big bass drums and sparklers going, and it was just a really memorable experience. And from that, I always, in cooking as a child with my mom, that's kind of where I got my start, was cooking with mom. I always wanted to open a restaurant, but I wanted to make memorable experiences at my restaurant. And I think, the number one form of entertainment for families and just everybody in general is going out to eat. And I think, you want to go to a place that's fun to go to. So we wanted to create something that was memorable. And 10-pound burgers and 2,000-pound burgers and 2-pound tacos and 2-gallon ice cream sundaes. Those are things that you don't see anywhere else. And when you come into my restaurant, you see everyone oohing and eyeing and pointing and looking, and people will walk up to a table and ask if they can take pictures. And, it's a fun, kind of a little bit of a carnivalesque atmosphere. So I think people enjoy to be entertained, with going out and having a good meal.
But on top of that, the food is good as well, and that's why they continue to return.
Well, I have a passion. I have the go big or go home type of personality. The name of the restaurant is my last name, so my name is on the restaurant. So I take pride in what I do. All the recipes here are my recipes. They're either family recipes or recipes I've developed over the years. I am actually, I do own the facility, but I do actually work in the kitchen. All the homemade recipes, our Marcella sauces, our rubs, our soups, our chilies, things like that, I make them personally. So you come in here and, you're eating the food that my family's been making or I created over the past 16 years.
Steve Malley with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Malley Sports Grill and Bar. Steve, can I ask you, do you still hold the world record for the biggest hamburger?
To my knowledge, I haven't checked, in the past few months, but to my knowledge, yes. It's a little under 1,800 pounds. It was crazy big. We actually had to build an oven. We created a convection oven out of a shipping container, and it had to have a sky track to actually lift this thing. But it's a little under 1,800 pounds, and we're interested in trying to beat it. We're just waiting for someone that wants to, kind of jump in with us and give us an opportunity to make another one.
You do like a challenge.
I do. I get bored easy, and I like having projects and challenges. It's rewarding to do something like that and actually tackle something, and it's fun to do.
So with that, I know that it really made national news. I was working at Channel 7 back in the day when you guys were creating that, and it was so huge. It was really something to see. And so with that, where do some of your visitors that have come to your restaurant, have you had people say that they've come from out of state and other parts of the country just to be able to eat one of your hamburgers?
Oh yeah, I've got not only national, but it's been worldwide. I've done interviews all over the entire world. I've had people come from China and Japan all the way here just to see where the burger was made and get a photo or an autograph. It's kind of crazy. You really wouldn't think that, but burger is pretty much the number one eaten food, in the entire world. So people really want to see something they've never seen before. But we get calls all over the world, and I get travelers, people plan their vacations around coming to Malley's and visiting our location.
That has to make you feel good as an owner, but also as a person who likes to feed people.
Yeah, it's rewarding that people actually take their time out of work to plan a trip to actually see my location. It's a little surreal because I'm here every single day, and it's kind of like, wow, you actually came across the entire country to see this place. but they do, and that's kind of a big pat on the back, and that keeps my motivation going. So it's great to see that, and it's nice to have people enjoy what we do.
Steve Malley with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Malley Sports Grill and Bar in Southgate. But with that, Steve, are you experiencing the challenge of so many other businesses right now and trying to get enough workers?
Definitely. I think, we've lost throughout the last year probably 50% of our workers. We've kept our core staff here, but I think one of the challenges is, let's face it, everyone's getting money not to work, and it's kind of hard to, go back to work when you're getting paid not to. So that's kind of slowed the hiring process down. But I think the biggest hurdle that I believe is the problem is the fact that people that have to work and need to work, that have worked in the restaurant industry, and, the restaurant industry, does pay pretty well and provide a good living, but it got shut down. So people that needed to make money had to look for other avenues to make money. So they changed their jobs. I mean, I've got a number of people that have gone into Amazon's killing it right now. So, I mean, I've got a lot of people have gone to work for Amazon doing deliveries or working in the warehouse, which they haven't, they've experienced, being crazy busy, not a slowdown. That and Quicken Loans. I mean, those two industries, I've seen a lot of our workforce kind of transition into that. So I think, people that are in the industry that have looked for other businesses to work for, that's taken a big hit. And the fact that, the getting paid not to work thing doesn't help.
But you also tried to sweeten the pot by offering a hiring bonus.
I did. We've never had a problem hiring. There's always a revolving door for, probably 25% of the workers here. We've got 50% of the people have been here for up to 16 years. And probably 25% seem to stay substantially long. But you have 25% that kind of they come and go pretty quickly that you've got to replace. I was able to put ads out in the past and get immediate response. Most recently, over the last 6 months, I've just noticed I put the ads out and I get zero response. So with that being said, I sat down and I'm like, you know what, Steve, put your creative, thinking hat on, and what can we come up with so that we can stand out, just like the Big Burger. I mean, everyone makes hamburgers, but 2,000-pound hamburger, that stands out. People, get attracted to that. What can we do in the hiring process that can attract people where we're not getting them? And I've seen other places offering incentives, so I didn't create the wheel. I just think I might have improved it a little bit. I just said, you know what? Let's put a $2,000 hiring bonus for full-time, $1,000 for part-time. But the catch is, it's going to get paid quarterly, every 90 days. So full-time or part-time person comes in, applies, gets hired. 90 days in, they will get a quarter of that bonus. 90 days after that, they'll get the other quarter, and so on up until they get the full amount. But and it did work. We got not a flood, but we do have people coming in, and we only needed to fill a few positions, but we were able to do that. So that worked out pretty well.
But it is a good way in how you were thinking about dispersing it, because you don't want to give it to people that then turn around, get the money, and then just quit. Right. Yeah. I've had people call up here and say, hey, I want to get that $2,000. I'm going to need that up front. And, I'll sign something telling you I'm going to work there. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. And then all of a sudden you hear click. So we've had a number of people that think they're going to cheat the system. And yep, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to fill an application out and leave with $2,000 in my pocket. Oh, I'm telling you, I just don't get we won't even go there. Steve Malley with us here. He's the owner of Malley's Sports Grill and Bar. It's been such a challenging year for so many restaurant owners and small business owners. Any silver linings for you and your business through this pandemic?
We've there's been some. I think tragedy like this kind of builds camaraderie. So we've seen some of the staff really step up and show their true colors, which has been great. A lot of us have been there for each other, so that's a plus. There's been a few things in the business that I've been afraid to do, and it's kind of forced us to make some changes that I wanted to do, but I was skeptical that it would hurt the business. And I've made those changes, and we're doing well. So we're not struggling to stay open. We're actually, I'm not going to say we're killing it, but we're doing good. There's no thoughts of going out of business here. We've been actually, since the reopening in February, we've been busy. So we've been at that 50% occupancy, is keeping us pretty much going. We're doing well. So with that, it's just coming across the alerts that Michigan is lifting its mask requirement for people fully vaccinated against COVID-19. I know there has been a push to try to get as many people working in the restaurant industry
vaccinated. Do you think like news like that, will it help your business in making people more comfortable to come in?
I think it's going to take time. I think, it's funny. I went to the car dealership the other day, and my salesman wasn't wearing a mask. And then through the conversation, I didn't want to say anything, but through the conversation, he told me he was fully vaccinated and blah, 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 that he didn't need a mask anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why he's not wearing a mask. I think most people are used to everyone having to wear a mask. And when people start not wearing masks, it's going to take a little getting used to. I'm all for it. I don't really think the masks that we're wearing do a whole lot of good. But I'm sure they help at some point. But I think the change to wearing masks took time. Now we're used to wearing masks. I think it's going to do the same. It's going to take time to get used to not wearing masks.
Well, let's hope that we reach that 60% vaccination rate fairly quickly, because I know that's going to have a big impact on restaurants such as yours, due to the lifting some of the capacity limits as well as extending the length of time. So Steve Malley with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Malley Sports Grill and Bar. I would say for people that have not been there, located in Southgate, it is worth the trip to go, because it's a burger that you will not experience anywhere else. Steve, anything maybe I didn't ask that you want to add before we say goodbye?
Well, we've been in business 16 years. It's a family-owned establishment. It's very family-friendly. So kind of 8 to 80, we've got everything from infants to senior citizens that come here. It's not just a bar, it's a restaurant. We're kind of more a little bit like an Applebee's. So people have in the past said, I don't go to bars. Well, we're a restaurant. But come experience some of our over-the-top items, like our 2-pound tacos are crazy. Come have a nice half-pound burger or a homemade Gouda Mac. Everything here is made with love. So it's homemade, food is good, atmosphere is family-friendly. Come on in and experience a good homemade meal from a family-run business, not a huge corporation.
I love that. And so we've been saying it all along, please support local, because you are the backbone of our community. Thank you again, Steve, for being with us, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, and you guys have a great weekend.
You too. Tyler, I have to say, he said Gouda Mac, and I'm like, this Malley's might be on my weekend to-do list now.
Yeah, you might have to go out that way, take a detour after your trip to see the dinosaurs thing. Dinosaurs, Gouda Mac, and that's a pretty good weekend, Ronnie.
There you go. Hey, just a quick reminder again, Michigan lifts the mask requirements for people fully vaccinated against COVID-19. We'll continue to follow that story over the weekend and bring you the latest Monday starting at 10 o'clock. Larry, Jake, thank you behind the scenes for all of your hard work. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Megacast. Happy weekend, everyone.